Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back to the channel. Channel's actually been quiet for the past couple of days. A lot of leagues have ended at the same time. One league that hasn't ended, still far from it, is this one here. DRS, Thursday night. And what sets this one apart is we have a full quali session. As you can see on the left hand side, we're going to start off with 17 drivers unless anybody else joins, which means at the end of Q1 we will lose 2 drivers. Already have an Aston Martin out on track, as well as a McLaren and a Williams. Actually, the Albert Park circuit taking over from the Adelaide Street circuit in 1996. Adelaide was much more of a Monaco type circuit, street circuit, very close barriers. And it's where Michael Schumacher won his first championship. This is the Aston Martin of Arno Vos. No lap times on the board just yet. Have a lot of cars on outlaps. 4 cars, 5 cars remaining in the pits. And for a better opportunity to go out on circuit, find themselves in a bit of a bubble. Don't want to go out there in heavy traffic. See, leading the Constructors' Championship is the Red Bull team, 123 points. And wouldn't Red Bull as a corporation be so happy with that result? Red Bull P1 in the championship, AlphaTauri or RB, however you know them, P2 in the championship. And they're separated by just the 7 points. As far as the Drivers' Championship goes, it's even closer than that. Top 3 drivers within 5 points. Championship is far from decided. Zarno now coming towards the end of the lap. Goes around the final corner, now over the line, is going to record the first lap time of the evening, is he? Yes, he does. It's a 118.9, and we'll see how much further the lap times come down from there. This is furthest over the line, he goes quicker, 118.4, so already a difference of half a second between those 2 times. Now 0 to pull one of the newer drivers to get a permanent seat. Goes up into P2. And Dan Rickfeld. Now Nick Gisham goes fastest. It's at 118.0. We haven't seen a 117 just yet, but I can tell you it's coming soon. Times are getting very close to the 117s, and still so many quick drivers to complete their lap times. See, a lot of those guys that did outlaps have returned to the pits. Wonder if they just gave up on those lap times, or they were just setting some rubber down. This is Nam Assassin. His teammate currently in P8. Nam Assassin goes P10. 5/10 of a second behind his teammate. Nick Gishin currently in P2. That's a 1:18.0. We didn't see the fastest time. We missed it. I said a 1:17 was coming soon. And there we go. There it is. It's a 1:17.9. Big T. First one into the 1:17s. And I've got a strange suspicion it's not going to be the last. Ariamondi, he went over. He did a 1:19.9. Wezo, so close. Also 1:19.9. Some very close lap times here. Whether you're at the front of the field, the middle of the field, or the rear of the field. A lot of drivers close together here in times. Front row separated by 0.08 of a second. Further back we have now a few drivers on outlaps that have not set lap times just yet. Those drivers are Panda, Flynn, I think that's Swiss, Fuster and Stoffel. Flynn is on a medium set of tyres. So wanting to use that medium set in Q1, quite confident that he can go through within the top 15. If you were watching at the beginning of the stream, you would have seen I mentioned 17 drivers starting the session. Well, that's already gone up to 19. So that means we'll lose 4 drivers at the end of Q1. Everything to play for. We've seen before in the past where we have the full quali session, we don't get those 15 drivers and the guys just take it easy in Q1. They're not able to do that tonight. There's still a lot of drivers yet to set a lap time. You can so easily be caught out. You invalidate a lap, come in, the next one you get stuck in traffic, and all of a sudden the time is running out quickly. Now Panda's going over the line to start a quick lap. Let's ride on board with him. Obviously slight modifications were made to this circuit. It's actually, for me personally, made the circuit a lot more enjoyable and faster. We are riding on board with the fast driver, Panda. No lap time from him just yet. Still waiting for lap time from Levy, Panda, J-Boy, Swiss, Fuster and Stoffel. Gishin has retired from the session, so he's happy with that. Confident that will be within the top 15. I think we're going to see that sort of track evolution. Not on this game anyway. This is Fuster going around the final corner. Over the start finish line to set what should be his first time lap of the evening. There we go, it goes to 13. To 1:19.6. At the front, Panda went over the line and it was good enough for P4. And a lot of these guys are leaving it late, knowing they've got the pace to get through Q1 quite easily. The time can catch you out. And we have seen some quick drivers being caught out by time, having to start at the back of the field. Something you probably don't want to do here in Australia. These are no close. Interesting to see how the different drivers play at it. Some of the drivers think, right, that's enough for that, and retire from the session. The others, well within the top 5, still doing lap times. This is Arno Coast, currently in P4, 1:18.4. Panda just behind him, 1:18.5. He's on his way back to the pits. Then a 1:18.6 for Rota, and you can see how close these times are. 1:18.6 for 0 to cool, 1:18.6 for Dan Ritfeld, 1:18.7 for Kev and Nam Assassin. So really close lap times here. The AlphaTauris, mentioned earlier, that team is second in the Constructors' Championship. They are currently sitting right at the bottom of the field, P18, P19, both cars yet to set a lap time. They need to get on with it. This is what I mean by potentially getting caught out. To invalidate this lap, come in, use another set of tyres, compromise your qualifying session going forward, even if you do get through. The AlphaTauris have decided to leave it till the end. Is that a yellow flag? Yes, Levy going slowly. I think I wonder if he backed out of that lap. Seemed like he was on a quick lap. Here is his teammate. Not sure why they worked that out, or how they worked that out, that Levy would finish in front of Swiss, or start in front of Swiss, when both of them don't have lap times. Okay, he's going to activate DRS, one of the fastest parts of the race circuit now. He's turned it into a much more flowing circuit. Just minor adjustments were needed. So the track wasn't majorly modified from its classic layout. And here we go now. We ride with Swiss as he goes around the final corner, looking for that first lap time of the evening. Where will this put the AlphaTauri? Nicely done, left it late, but did exactly what he needed to do. Goes up into P3, it's a 1:18.2. His teammate is not far behind him. Let's see what Levy can do. Around the final corner for the second AlphaTauri. His teammate was good enough for P3. What can Levy do? Goes over the line, slots in just behind his teammate. Nicely done. Just a tenth of a second between the two. Fantastic driving by the AlphaTauri team, who so far, if Q1 is any suggestion, are outperforming their supposed senior team. Not sure how Zach Brown would feel about a situation where the Constructors' Championship was led by Red Bull and P2 was in the hands of RB. Zach Brown might have a few complaints. A lot of the top drivers, 4 of the drivers have retired, like that 5 drivers have retired from the session. That's Nick Kurbis, Arno, Reuter and Boinkies. Obviously they are happy with those times. I think the first 4 drivers I mentioned, they should be pretty comfortable. As for the last one, Boinkies, he's retired from the session, but he's in a bit of a vulnerable position down in P13. If a few drivers are able to improve, and there we go, Boinkies down to P14. We still have Aramondi on the circuit looking to improve. We have Wezo on the circuit looking to improve. If either one of those cars can improve, could just push Boinkies out of the session. Aramondi goes over the line. Does he improve? Seems like he's starting a fast lap. The 4-lap old softs. It's using used tyres, or it's been a very long run. Here is Wezo, another driver looking to improve. There we go, he does improve. He goes up into P13, and now Boinkies is on the brink. He's on the brink of being eliminated. He's the car at immediate risk. P15, is there anyone out on track that can improve? Aramondi, don't think he's going to have time. J-Boy is out on circuit, and he is depleting that battery quickly, so I think he is on a fast lap. Absolutely no one in the comment section this time around. Don't know what's going on. Everyone very quiet. Here goes J-Boy over the line. And will this push Boinkies out? No, it does not. J-Boy good enough for P16. And that's not going to be good enough for Q2. The Mercedes driver leaving it late. And not getting the lap time he would have wanted. And, well, I think that's his reaction to it. Where Fernando Alonso went off in the McLaren a few years ago. Welcome Francis to the stream. Welcome to DRS. We're in Albert Park. Still have a minute and a half remaining. Fuster is out on circuit. It appears to be depleting that battery, so I think he's on a quick lap. Boinkies in 15, but just on the brink, still holding on. But if the McLaren is able to improve, we'll be able to knock Boinkies out of the session, but it's going to have to be quite the improvement. It's going to have to find 6.5 tenths. What does the McLaren driver have? Just over the line. Let's improve. Now we have the two Red Bulls. And Rickfeld and Kev both out on track. P10, P11. There's two Red Bulls currently, P10, P11. Remember, those two cars make up the team that is leading the Constructors' Championship. And there we go. That is the end of Q1. Eliminated from this session will be J-Boy, Stoffel, Ariamondi and Fuster. We will go forward with just 15 drivers, and that means Boinkies will be able to scrape in. This is Flynn. He's in the Alpine, looking to improve. Currently P14, 119 flat. Does he have anything extra? We'll soon find out. And there we go, there's your official results for Q1. Big D, Nick Gishin, Swiss, Zero to Cool, Lebby, Kubus, Flynn, Arnochos, Panda and Kev all in the top 10. Then we have Rota, Dan Rickfeld, Namasas and Wezo and Boinkies going through to Q2. Eliminated, J-Boy, Stoffel, Ariamondi and Fuster. Just to look at the time at the top of the field, it's a 1:79, so let's have a look if that lap time comes down and by how much that lap time will come down. Will we see a mid-17 by the end of qualifying? Now we have our usual quiet period where we gaze into the empty pit lane. I don't think you're ever going to see a pit lane in an F1 paddock that is that quiet. We're already getting a few cars out on track. The Aston Martin of Warner Pace, he was the first man out on track in Q1. Not quite the first man out on track this time around. This car in front of him. Welcome also there to Panda in the comment section. He's also in a car, doing a bit of multitasking. I had the worst flu during the course of the week. I was asked to commentate on Tuesday night for some special event 5-lappers. Unfortunately, I had to turn it down because on Tuesday night my voice, well, I sounded like Batman. It is on the mend. It's not quite where it needs to be. Hopefully by next week, at least by Sunday night with SKR, I'll be sounding a little bit more normal. So if you do hear my voice sounding a bit weird, it's not the mic. I'm using the same mic. That's just my voice. It's not quite right. Was that a raindrop? Was that my imagination? Do I want to see something, or I think that was a raindrop? I think that explains the extremely busy racetrack. If you don't get this run right, that could mean elimination from Q2. You get this run, and that could be the end of it. If next time out, by the time you go back in, change your tires, get back out, you could meet a wet racetrack. And on intermediates, there's no way you're going to find an improvement. So for a lot of the drivers out there on track, and every single driver is out there on track on a fast lap right now, this will be probably your one and only attempt at a competitive lap, at least. Now, if anybody in the comment section is also driving, for example, Panda, let me know what the weather looks like there on the game. Obviously, I don't get any sort of weather report from the spectator view. So let me know, wet race, question mark, wet Q3, question mark, let me know. Lap time starting to come in, and that's, you can already see a difference. Here it's cool, 1:19.4. Then Kev, 1:19.4. Lap time's not as quick as what we saw in Q1. And even if the track isn't wet, those raindrops can just put you off a little bit. If it isn't wet right now, I can tell you by the time all these cars get back to the pits and try go out on a second run, this track is going to be in a very different condition. So I think for a lot of these drivers at the back, they may have sealed their fate. As for Arno Goos, currently P14, his teammate in 13th. Arno has not set a lap time. Approaching the final sequence of corners now. into the final corner. Let's see what he can come up with. He's going to be one of the last drivers to go over the line, so that rain will be affecting him the most. He's over the line in 120. And look at that, his DRS seems to be empty as well. So that tells me it was a fast lap. It's 120.3. And that could already be the effects of the wet circuit, at least the damp circuit, on the slick tyre. And once you switch over to intermediates, there's just no way you can improve. It'll be really frustrating there for the drivers at the back, at least up to Arno Hurst. They're not far away from 10th place. Absolutely nothing in it. Big T, he's in a bit of trouble. He hasn't set a lap time yet. He's on an outlap. So he's still quite far from setting a timed lap, and this track is only going to get wetter. He might be able to handle the car now, but what will the track look like one lap from now? He doesn't know. He's hoping for the best. Currently P15 would guarantee elimination from Q2. And if he wants to have any sort of final run at pole position, he's going to have to come up with something very special on a circuit that really shouldn't allow it at this stage. Now this is still riding on board with Big T. As you can see, Wezo just retired from the session, so I think he's accepted that he's not going to be able to improve on inters. Panda is also retired from the session, and normally I'd say that's a very dangerous position to be in, P10, but honestly I don't see anyone improving unless Big T is able to pull something very impressive out of the hat. This track's only getting worse, it's only getting more and more tricky. And if he's able to overcome all of that and still get himself into the top 10, well, that would be rather impressive. We'll stay with him. He is the only man out there on a fast lap. We have another two drivers on outlaps. And Big T will go over the line. Will this be his first timed lap? It is, and it's not good enough. It's 21.6. And that's the problem. As the track gets progressively wetter, those slicks get progressively worse. An amazing tyre when it's in its perfect operating temperature. To take away those perfect temperatures, it actually becomes quite useless. This is Big T. Remember, he did that 121.6, was unable to improve. We have Arno on a outlap. He's actually just started his quick lap. Nam Assassin, his teammate. Well, if this was a real qualifying session, that would have brought out the red flag. Something that this game advertised as a feature. But I'm yet to see one. And the game has almost ended its run. Last man out on track is this one here, Arno Hurst. He's already lost his teammate. Teammate was just up the road, trying to improve, giving it everything, got a wheel on the grass, and that was the end of that. He won't know that unless he's in communication with his teammate. So I want to repeat the mistake, but at this point, just throw everything at it. If you retire, you're going to start P14, or you could come up with an amazing lap time. If you don't, or if you crash, the result is the same. You're starting in P14. So why not give it everything? He's pulled into the pits, so clearly that lap time was not going in the direction he would have wanted. Everyone has retired from the session with the exception of Arno and Big T. Arno on his way into the pits. I'm sure we're going to see him retire from the session. Big T has retired from the session. We just have the one car remaining. And if that car retires from the session, then we will proceed to Q3, even if we have those 4 minutes remaining. Or we could just have a very quiet 4 minutes. So there are your Q2 results: Kobus P1, then 0 to Cool P2, KF P3, Flynn P4, Swace P5, followed by Nick Gishin, Poinkies, Dan Ritfeld, Rota, and Panda getting in at the end there in P10. Eliminated from the session. And there goes my voice again. Great stuff. We have Lebby, Wezo, Nam Assassin, Arno Hose, and I missed the last one. Well, got a message in here. Let me just scroll up. Q3 should be dry at the end. Okay, so this could be quite an interesting session. If you're hoping for it to be dry at the end, still need to go out, set those lap times on the wets, on the intermediates, whatever it may be, because if it doesn't dry up at the end, well, then you're in a bit of trouble. Welcome, T-Boats, to the comment section. Yeah, at least your car is set up for a dry race. Hopefully it is a dry race. Now we're in Q3. Remember, this is the shortest of the sessions. Usually they go down in time from Q1 to Q2 to Q3. Now you've just got a 12-minute session in what appears to be changeable conditions. We saw it was very wet at the start of the session. A lot of spray coming off those tires. Let's have a look. What tires are the drivers using? They're all on wets, with the exception of Panda. Let's have a look at Panda. He's on an outlap. He's on a set of intermediates. Panda. Remember, we're focusing on Panda because Panda is the only driver out there on a set of inters. Getting close to a Ferrari there. Ferrari of Nick Gishin. Backing off, giving himself some space. Will he come into the pits? No, he doesn't. So he is happy with those inters. Welcome to Byron as well in the comment section. You've joined us just in time for Q3. That's where the real business end of things comes in qualifying. This is Panda. We're riding on board with him, trying to get an indication of he's struggling on those tyres as the intermediate white tyre. Well, we will soon find out, because he's the only driver on intermediates. Every other driver is out on track. I have 10 drivers out on track, 9 of them on wets. Panda going out of sync with everybody else, deciding to go on the intermediate. But for me, still looks like a lot of spray. A 1:32 first lap time of Q3. That is Boinky's currently provisional pole position. Curtis is going to go over the line any moment now. Goes over also a 1:33.0, then a 1:32.1. Have an Alpine, all front row. Flynn followed by Boinky's. Panda went over the line on those intermediates, a 1:33.9, so I don't think those tyres are quite right, but I think the track might be heading in that direction. Might see a lot more runners on their second run going for that intermediate option. Now fastest lap of the session goes to Sway SAFRL, 1:31.8. The lap times are coming down. Either the drivers are just going quicker and quicker, or the track's getting quicker and quicker. We'll soon see. When these guys are done with their first run, they will probably all come into the pits and slap on a set of intermediates, if that is the case. Remember, Panda set that lap time when he really should have been on wets, so it's still a very decent lap time. And while the track may not be dry at the end of the session, it may definitely be an intermediate situation, so these lap times will definitely come down. And this is one of those situations where qualifying involves your strategy. You may be the fastest driver out on track, race pace, single lap pace, regardless of whatever it is. Zero to Cool goes up into P4. Nicely done for the remaining Williams in the top 10. Red Bulls P6, P7, Constructors Championship leaders, not having things go the way they would like. Here we go, you can see Red Bull 123, AlphaTauri 116, nothing in it between those two teams. We have an AlphaTauri in P2, we have Red Bulls in P6 and 7. The other AlphaTauri, not in the top 10. Now all of the drivers, all 10 drivers have done their first run. Curtis just going offline there. Decides not to come into the pits. I think he's just having multiple laps on those wets until he feels the conditions are no longer applicable to wets. Then he'll come in and put on a set of inters. Until then, I think he's just going to drive around on those wets, because you can see he's done multiple laps on them already. Sorry for all the muting. I'm not feeling my best. Lots of coughing going on in the back. Flynn currently P1, Swayze P2, 0 to cool. 131.9, good enough for P3. Then we have Rota P4, Boinky's P5. We have the pair of Red Bulls, 6 and 7. Kerber's P8. Kerber's still driving around on those wets. He's already done 3 laps on those tyres. And I was wrong. We're not going to see a whole handful of drivers coming out on the intermediate. Looks like everyone for now is going to have another go on wets. Just over 3 minutes remaining. Obviously, if you have to do an out lap, a fast lap and an in lap, 3 minutes remaining. It's going to be very tight. I think this will be the final run for a lot of these drivers. Ooh, that was I think we just missed that, but I think I just saw a wheel flying, and when I went back it was gone. Swayze on another outlap. You can see all those cars, they're all on wets, so nobody taking the intermediate risk, nobody trying that. Remember, Panda was the only man to set a lap time on the intermediate tyre. That's the lap time I'm speaking of. It's a 133.9, and now he's going to be looking to improve on that lap time. This time round he's got a set of wets on the car. It's a big slide, very nicely controlled. Could have gone very wrong. And it looks like he's also going to have multiple runs. Different skill to driving in the wet. Can't just use your normal driving style in the wet. There will be adaptations you need to make to the way you approach things. The one many know as the original Rain Master, Ayrton Senna. Obviously coming from Brazil as a teenager to Europe, came to Europe alone, didn't know anybody, and his biggest problem in driving was he had an extreme weakness in the wet. So since Senna didn't have that many friends and didn't have that much to do, made friends with a manager at a go-kart track who would let him drive the go-kart around and around and around with the sprinklers on. And Senna perfected the art of rain driving as a result of driving around in the sprinklers. This is Flynn. He's currently in P1. If things end right now, he's going to start from pole. He's going to be happy with that. And this is the sort of qualifying session that can really mix up your starting order. Maybe Kev and Dan Rietveld aren't slow for P6 and 7. Maybe they just don't like the wet. Maybe as soon as we get to a dry race, things are going to look very different. Some of these drivers will be quicker in the wet, some of them will be slower in the wet. Really comes down to the driver. Panda, no wing on the front of that car, so he won't be improving. This is Flynn. Seems like his session has also come to an end. think this session is basically at an end. The only man still waiting for the checkered flag is this one here. It's Flynn. He's going around the final corner. Currently on provisional pole. I think he's going to stay there. 31.7. And I'm not sure if he improved. We'll soon find out. I wasn't able to improve at the end there, still at 131.7, but regardless, Flynn takes pole position for the Australian Grand Prix for Alpine. It's going to be joined on the front row by Swiss in the AlphaTauri. Remember, AlphaTauri P2 in that Constructors' Championship. Then we've got 0 to cool Rota on the second row. They're followed by Boinkies and Kev on the third row. Fourth row, Dan Rietveld and Kurbis. And then in P9 and 10, covering the fifth row of the grid, Panda and Nick Gishen. And we're back. Now we just have a slight pause. This is so you guys can finalize their strategies, decide what tire they're going to start on, when they intend to pit. Are they anticipating safety cars? Do they underfuel? Don't they underfuel? It's all about a roll of a dice. See channel a little quiet right now. Let's go. 5 red lights. Got me unaware there. We're underway. Obviously no formation lap, so we get straight underway. Swiss not getting the start he would have wanted. Flynn getting a great start. He goes from pole. Comes out of the first sequence of corners. Still in P1. Kev down to Kev up to P2. 0 to cool makes up a position. Goes up to P3. But Swiss has lost 2 positions. We have a caution. And I think we've got a safety car. There we go. Been commentating on this for a while. And we have a safety car on lap 1 of 29. Bit of a useless safety car when you like using safety cars for a roll of the dice, a change of the strategy. This safety car doesn't really help you at all unless you acquire damage on that first lap. Then you can obviously come in, change that front wing, join the back of the queue, have another go at it. But as things stand, race neutralized before it got started. So we have a full course safety car. We started with 19 drivers. We still have 19 drivers. So we don't have a DNF. We haven't lost anybody. But something did trigger a safety car. Not quite sure what it was. But we have seen examples, if not here in DRS, in some of the other leagues I've commentated on, where a driver taking too long to get back onto the tarmac can sometimes trigger a safety car. And that could have been the case. Maybe on lap 1, things getting a bit crowded, cars going 3-4 wide into a corner. Sometimes you just have to run wide to avoid the damage, go over the grass. And you're on the grass for a little bit too long, and the game triggers a safety car. A little bit ironic that this is the exact purpose that was designed for the virtual safety car. Small incident, no full safety car. But sometimes you get a car crashing on the main straight, get a virtual safety car, and sometimes we have a spin that results in a full safety car. We await to see if there's any sort of confirmation on. No, we don't. Car goes around the pit entry, so safety car will be out for at least one more lap. I presume this will be the final lap. Looks like the whole field is together. Well, we still have one lap of safety car to go. I want to thank all the viewers, whether you watch these races live, whether you contribute in the comment section, whether you're a driver who listens to this in the background, or if you listen to this later on in the week when you're supposed to be at work. Whichever it is, I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. The support's been tremendous. Been doing really well. See the content at the moment a little bit light. SKR on this channel, SAFRL, sorry, on this channel, they hold 2 tiers and they are currently off season, so missing 2 streams a week, but they will be back in early April. As for now, we have DRS on a Thursday, we have SKR on a Sunday, and the support has been fantastic. If you haven't yet subscribed, well, then you know what to do. Which ones do you guys prefer? This one or this one? You can see the safety car pulling off into the distance, so that is the confirmation we need. Flynn will now take over the responsibilities of leading this field into a race restart. We're going to have the restart with 19 drivers in the field. We haven't lost any drivers since the race start. Flynn leaving it very late, leaving it almost to the start-finish line. Really causing a backup of drivers at the back, and it's so dangerous because you can't pass before that start-finish line. Get too excited, you're going to have a penalty. Flynn leads the way, Kev P2, Zeratical P3. Then we have the first of the AlphaTauris. Remember, he was up on the front row for the start of this race, started in P2 down to P4, so he's lost a few positions. Having a look at the tyre situation, fastest man on track and your leader at the moment, Flynn. He is on a set of hards. It's not the leader anymore. Kev takes over the lead of the race. Red Bull out front. We saw the Red Bull struggling in qualifying. We said things could be very different come the race. And the results already showing Kev up into the lead of of this Australian Grand Prix. Kev currently third in the Drivers' Championship, as you can see there, but third in the championship and only 5 points behind the leader. 5 points covering the top 3 in this Drivers' Championship. Still so much to play for. Kev leads the way. Flynn starting to fall back now, 1.5 seconds. So he's fallen well outside DRS range. Swiss has been able to retake one of those positions. He's back up into P3, having passed Zero to Pool. Zero to Pool coming under more pressure, this time from Rota. And Rota gets past, does he? Yes, he does. Rota clears the Williams, and he's up into P4. Zero to Pool starting to lose positions now. Not quite sure why. He's on that soft tyre. Should have the grip in these early stages of the race. Something not happy in the cockpit of the Williams, as that car continues to go in the wrong direction of the timing sheets. A little further back, Big T, P6, Poinky's P7. We have Dan Ritfeld P8, Panda P9 and Nick Gishin making up the top 10. But at the front, gap hasn't grown much more. Kev now managing the gap. We have our first retirement and our second safety car. Good evening to, is that Lionel? I think it's Lionel. It's either, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's either Lionel or Lionel, one of the two. We are in the safety car yet again. I'm just going to take a 2-minute break to try and clear my throat. My voice is about to go. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, we're back. Apologies about that. But my voice, everything was about to fall apart. We're in the safety car yet again here in Australia. Kev leads the way from Flynn. What will be a little bit annoying here for the leader, remember he's got the medium compound tyre. Flynn just behind him, main competitor at the moment, is on the hard compound. So he's going to be looking to go further into the race, where Kev is going to be looking to have the superior pace at the beginning of the race. But if a gap is not able to form between P1 and P2, then Kevin's strategy is not able to go according to plan. The entire field is together, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if this was the last lap under the safety car. At the restart, Kev will lead the way. Remember, at the last restart, Flynn conducted that restart. He left it very, very late till that start-finish line. This time around, we may get a very different perspective on things. Kev is going to have the opportunity to conduct that restart. We'll see what sort of difference we have between the drivers and their approach to things. Safety car already starting to pull off into the distance, so I think that's confirmation. Kev already backing up that field early on. Wants that safety car to get into the pits, get out of the way. See, the moment that safety car enters the pit lane, means your leader is the driver in charge, decides when to go. If he wants to go around the penultimate corner, around the final corner, or just meters before the start finish line, it's really up to him. That's his job. Everyone else's job is to be as awake as they can possibly be. Has he got a jump on the field? Nice jump on the field. Good restart by Kev. He's got a 9/10 of a second gap going into turn one. Almost breaking DRS zone immediately. Here we have Swiss. Remember, he didn't have the best race start. Lost a few positions. It's going backwards. But now, been able to come back in this. And, you know, what should I say? We're on the safety car. The first one, I'm not sure what triggered it. The second one was Arno Goos. And that third one, I don't know if it was Swiss or if it was me. Because the moment we went on board with Swiss and spoke about how he was pulling his race back together, found the wall, and the commentator's curse strikes again. We need to put an end to this commentator's curse thing. I suppose that is the way you could mix up championships. Just have me constantly talk about the championship leader and how good he is. Probably won't be able to finish a race that season. Flynn has decided to come into the pits. 4 drivers choosing to come into the pits, the rest staying out, holding on to track position. I'm not very good at maths, but I think I'm pretty confident when I say that I think the safety car has led more laps than any driver in the field. Am I right? Imagine having that, where at the end of the race, the car with the most laps led happens to be the safety car. Panda naming it the Safety Car Simulator. What is it? Safety Car Simulator 23. Surprising is, out of all of these, especially the first one, I have no idea what triggered it. No one retired on that first safety car, and it really should have called for a virtual safety car. These constant stoppages can really make it difficult to race. They constantly break up the flow of the race. Sometimes drivers who should be winning a particular race lose out just because of really loss of concentration. These constant breaks in play. Go from giving it your everything, driving on the edge, to doing 120 kilometers an hour behind a safety car. 120 km an hour probably feels slow in your road car. Well, you can imagine what it feels like in one of these. I would have to say that the record goes to a race in SAFRL. I believe it was a tier 1 race on a Monday night, where, if I'm not mistaken, we saw a total of 6 safety cars. 2 of them happened in the sprint race, the other 4 happened in the feature race, and I think we also had some additional virtuals. It just seems like sometimes you get 1 or 2 safety cars, they just keep on snowballing. Sometimes you get a race with none. Other times you get a race with way too many. Safety car will come in this lap. It's not a particularly long safety car this time around. Drivers will be happy to get things back underway. So frustrating for the drivers. They want to get on with it. They want to push. They want to be doing quick lap times. That's what they practice for. I'll tell you that none of these guys practice to drive behind a safety car. Hopefully, that'll be the last safety car, and if you didn't under fuel, well, you're in trouble. Here we go at the restart. Kev going a little bit later than he did the last time. He's not able to catch that same jump that he got last time around. 4 tenths per second into turn 1, 3 tenths per second. So rotor right on the back of Kev. That Mercedes pushing the Red Bull all the way. Of Boinkies in P3, Dan Ritfeld P4. Levy in the remaining AlphaTauri. He's in P5. And we have Fuster, the only man on track with some penalties. It's just the 3-second penalty. That would be for track infringements, but at an early stage in the race, when you consider how many of these laps have actually been done at race pace. So he's going to have to focus on those penalties, and he doesn't want them to mount up any more than they already have. This is Panda. He's at the back of the field, currently in P17. And Big T going slowly. We have a caution, but luckily it's just a caution. It disappears from our screens. Doesn't trigger anything we don't want to see. Then we have the second of the two Ferraris currently in P15. The other Ferrari's in P13. And Flynn, he makes the filling. He makes up the filling of that Ferrari sandwich. Kurbis, second of the two McLarens, outside the points in P12. Then we have Aramondi getting really close to J-Boy. 0-2 cool. Swapping positions with his teammate. Things getting messy. I saw Haas going sideways. Does he still have his front wing? Yes, he does. Things just got messy there. Or at least it appeared so on the stream. Stoffel does pick up a 3-second time penalty. So he definitely was off circuit. Nam Assassin, P6. Levy, very nicely done around the outside of Dan Whitfeld. Don't see that every day. An RB going around the outside of Red Bull flat out. I think if Yuki did that around Perez, that would be the end of that for Sergio. Speaking about the end of that, it's the end of that for the race run. We're now on lap 13 of 29. It is safety car conditions yet again. Luckily, we have a commentator who has the ability to talk a lot of rubbish. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of quiet, awkward time. A lot of drivers utilizing this specific safety car to make a pit stop. The reason for that is we are just under halfway distance. I think everyone that comes out on hards, even possibly on mediums, will be looking to go to the end of the race. How many of them will go to the end of the race is the question, because I'm almost certain that we will see more safety cars. Maybe we've already hit the limit. I think this is the 4th safety car. I think the most I've seen in a single race was 5. Then they'll start hitting you with virtuals, and then once you've hit your limit on virtuals, then it just stops altogether and cars start disappearing from the screen. Hey Panda, how's it going? I know, look, rear wing damage, I think almost on any track, it's almost undrivable. Such a crucial part of the aerodynamics of an F1 car. You take that rear wing off, things become very different. Once you go down into the lower categories of single-seater racing, and I mean much lower, not Formula 2 and Formula 3 and Formula 4, I'm speaking way lower, so Formula Renault, Formula Ford, that sort of thing. A lot of those cars don't have a rear wing, and that's really just to keep them slower. The rear wing makes a very big difference on an F1 car, and when you don't have it, you realize how important it is. Depending on how old you are, if you remember some of the older F1 games, early 2000s, EA Sports did have the license back then, and back then, if you brake checked somebody, they could go into the back of you and your rear wing could literally fall off. Unfortunately, in modern games that doesn't happen. and it's for a very silly reason. Basically, the reason that rear wing doesn't fall off in the game anymore is because the sponsors on the cars didn't want the car to be visible without their name on it for any period of time. So unfortunately, the only things that can break off are things with minor or no sponsorship on it. I think the safety car driver deserves the 25 points, honestly, for the drive that he's had to put in today. Surely he's going to get some overtime. I think that safety car may need a change of tires. Safety car is pulling off into the distance. So we're going to have another one of these. Going to have another go. It's free. Also there in the comment section, lots of support, familiar names. It may not be on the timing screen today, but almost everybody you see there in the comment section, you're going to see them on track at some stage on this channel during the course of the week. Now here we go yet again for yet another restart. Fuster leads the way this time around. Remember, he didn't pit. He chose to stay out, hold on to track position. He's got a set of hards on that car, but crucially they're 15 laps old. So he'll be hoping for another safety car to get a free pit stop. But I think we may have gone over that limit. The Williams challenging him. He's going to have the inside into the next corner, but I think it's all about the tyres at this stage. His hards just aren't going to have the best grip at this stage in the race. Also remember, the harder the compound at the start of the race or at the restart of the race, it's going to take you that little longer to get them up to operating temperature. Lots of back and forth here at the front. Now your new leader, 0 to cool. We have a Williams off circuit, McLaren off circuit, sorry. The McLaren Mercedes leaves the circuit. We have a caution, and luckily it stays at a caution, green flag. And Fuster was looking to have a very promising race. He's now at the back of the field on old hards. He's going to need some sort of safety car or some sort of divine intervention to be able to pit and catch up to the back of that queue. 0 to cool is leading the way. Leads by 1.3 seconds. Probably didn't think of himself as too much of a favourite. These unique conditions in this race can really throw any result up in the air. One disadvantage he does have is on a set of mediums, and he's already done 10 laps on them. If you're a viewer at home, another thing you must remember is that if this was a normal race, basically 10 laps on the medium would probably mean something very different. Remember, a lot of these laps have been done under safety car conditions. The guys haven't been driving on edge. So in a lot of cases, you may think those tires should be worn or close to their tire life, but they may still have a lot more tire life to come. Since your leader chooses not to come into the pit, stays out, 0 to cool. 10 laps on the medium. It's going to be 11 laps on the medium. Race control, DRS enabled. Finally, we haven't seen much of DRS in this race. If we've seen any, not sure. Fuster comes into the pits. He's going to get rid of those hards. And he's going to be hoping for something special to happen so that he can catch up to the back of that queue. Unfortunately, I think his misfortune came after the safety car limits. 02 Cool leads the way, 1.1 seconds. Nick Gishin, P2, not a particularly big gap. Nick Gishin on a very different strategy. It's on a set of hard tyres. It's a peculiar scenario because you don't have a lot of cars on exactly the same strategy. A lot of these cars pit really in 3 or 4 lap increments, whether they pit under the second safety car or the third or the fourth. So you can see there's runners with 4 lap old hards, 7 lap old hards, 8 lap old hards. There's a mixture of everything out there on the field. And I wonder if at the end what it could really come down to is if you just have that slightly fresher set of tires. Rota now, fastest lap of the race. Kerber's fastest lap of the race, 121.0. And that is obviously the effects now of DRS. Coming into this race, start to get towed behind the car ahead of you. Gives you that little bit of an assistance. In the comment section, if any of you guys are near a keyboard, let me know what would you prefer. Would you prefer obviously what we have right now, the DRS system as we know it, or would you prefer something, I don't want to say Formula E, but I suppose Formula E have something similar, but in the past Formula 1 had curves, and basically that would give you a boost assisting in an overtake. And every time you passed the start-finish line, that curves would be recharged. And there were no curve zones. You could use them wherever you wanted to on track. Is that a better option to DRS? And we know we have ERS, but that is not curves. Remember, curves was charged every single time you went over the start-finish line. If you use up all your ERS, you ain't going to charge it up in a lap. It's going to take time. You're going to have to manage it. And if you're at the front of a DRS train and you've consumed all of that extra battery, you become a sitting duck. DRS Rota. I was going to say he's your new leader, but he's not your new leader because Zerticool has snatched the lead back. Williams back into P1. Saw a penalty there for Wezo. I think he already did have a penalty, so I wonder. Yes, he did. Wezo up to 6 seconds worth of penalties. And because of all these safety cars, means the gaps have stayed really tight, and if you have excessive penalties, well, could just demolish whatever position you have on that order, throw you down a few spots. Luckily for everyone out on track, I don't think they need to worry about an extremely late safety car. I think we may have gone over the limit. This is Fuster. Remember, he was having a good race. Things can change very quickly. Big T. Some really quick drivers on the wrong side of the grid here. Fuster, fastest lap of the race. But crucially, he's not in the top 10, so he won't pick up that point. What it does do is it steals a point from someone in the top 10. So even if you're not in the top 10, the point to getting that fast lap is you may not be getting a point for yourself, but you may be taking a point away from a potential competitor. And if it comes down to 1 point, you'll You'll be cursing yourself at the end of the season. Actually, in, I believe it was 1989 and 1990, the championships were both decided at Suzuka by 1 point. First of those two races or championships going the way of Alain Prost, under some pretty controversial decisions that were made. And then the very next year, Senna decided that he would make no attempt to turn into turn one, and rather eliminated Prost from the race and winning the championship by 1 point. Championships were quite different back then. Actually happened in 94 as well. Schumacher winning the championship by 1 point after colliding with his championship rival in the finale, meaning that both did not finish, and the 1 point lead became unassailable. Rota leads the way for Mercedes, another Mercedes powered car in P2. Remember, but 0 to cool, 16 lap old mediums, and I wonder if those tyres are just going to fall out of favor and become a handful for him in the closing stages. Big T, pace coming to him at the wrong time in this race now. He's in P13, but he's getting faster laps. It's not going to help him. He's got a lot of free air in front of him. 13 seconds between him and the next car. So even to get himself up into the top 10 right now, he'd have to find himself 15 seconds in the last 6 laps. Not the race Big T would have wanted. As for Rota, he'll be happy with this. The Red Bulls and AlphaTauris have been dethroned in this round. We don't even have one in the top 3. May not have one in the top 3, but we've got one getting pretty close to the top 3. Kev is in P4. His tyres are going to be in slightly better condition than the 3 cars ahead of him, at least the 2 cars ahead of him. Same exact compound and tyre age for the leader, Rota. Kev should be able to make some sort of progress. Nick Gishin also on a set of hards, but older hards. And then 0 to cool in P2 on a set of mediums that could potentially be screaming out at this point. The battles of Senna and Prost. It was when I first started watching F1, the very early days of watching F1, and my dad was a Prost fan, so obviously just to annoy him, I was a Senna fan. And then obviously after the unfortunate events of 1994, became a Schumacher fan. And what a career that went on to be. Rota leads the way, and now Rota can get comfortable, because he leads the way and the 2 cars behind him, 0 to cool, Nick Gishin, both of them have 3-second penalties. So while these cars look extremely close on track, in fact they're side by side on track, Rota's got nothing to worry about. He's still got the lead of this race. Not on the timing sheets, but when it comes down to it, on the official score sheet, Rota will still be in the lead. Rota's biggest issue right now will be Kev. Kev's down in P4. Those penalties ahead of him, I think the result would be Rota followed by Kev, and Lebby getting himself onto the podium from P5. So things are far from decided. Still a lot of points here on offer. Look at all the penalties further back. Dan Ritfeld 3 seconds, Wezo 6 seconds. That's going to hurt him very badly. J-Boy 3 seconds. Then 3 seconds apiece for Krubis and Ariamondi. And then another 6 seconds for Fusto. That's not going to help him at all because he's already at the back of the field. It's just going to make his gap to the back of the field even longer. Just need another lap so that we can confirm there will be no more safety cars. Safety car needs those 3 laps to get around, so if we can comfortably get to lap 27 then we're safe. Hopefully it doesn't throw a virtual at us. Obviously the Australian Grand Prix last week was ended under a virtual safety car. Due to George Russell parallel parking his Mercedes in a very unfortunate part of the race. After apparently being brake checked, and after my experience in this game, I'd say a brake check is something very different. 27 of 29, 0 to Cool, it's in the lead. It's only a visual lead. Remember that gap 7/10 of a second, but the penalty is 3 seconds. So while it says half a second, he's 2.5 seconds adrift from Rota. Rota is leading this race quite comfortably, even though what you see on screen does not suggest it. Remember, the order you see is going to be far from the order when the checkered flag falls. These 3 though, regardless of penalties, they're having a little bit of fun. 0 to Cool, still P1, Rota P2. Nick Geshen, 3 second penalty of his own. He's in P3. What will be also crucial for P1 and 3 is they don't want to fool around too much. They fool around too much, they bring P4, 5 and 6 back into this battle, who don't have penalties, which means these guys could lose their podiums in a matter of corners. What they want to do is race in single file, race in each other's DRS, tow each other around and make sure they can get far enough up the road not to have those penalties impact negatively on their race. But at this stage, Nick Geshen not doing enough to hold on to that podium. I think 0 to Cool doing just enough to hold on to the podium, but it's on the brink. Zero to Cool, he doesn't want to give up that lead. He knows he's not going to win the race by looking at that penalty screen, but it's all about pride. These guys are competitive, these guys are fast, they want to beat each other. Whether it's a 5-lapper, whether it's a fun race, whether it's a serious race, they don't care. They want to beat each other. They want to have the fastest lap. They want to get to the checkered flag first. And even if it means they're not going to be first on those official results, just getting over that checkered flag first, making the overtake, that's the feeling you want in any race. So Rota, not happy to finish P2, P3 on the timing sheet and win the race. via penalties. He makes all the overtakes he needs to, goes to the lead of the race. I think he intends to stay there. Just behind him, 0 to Cool, followed by Nick Gishen. They built up enough of a gap to hold on to those podium places. 0 to Cool back into the lead. What's crucial for him is he may be able to hold on to third place. Gishen, on the other hand, will lose his podium. Does he also get past Rota? Yes, he does. While Rota wants to get to the checkered flag first, I don't think he's going to take too many risks. He knows he just needs to finish the couple of last corners. Two competitors around him are kind of out of it. And there we go, lap 29 of 29. And for the final time, over the start-finish line, Rota wins the race from 0 to Cool. Nick Gishen does lose their podium position, and Kev gets promoted onto the final step of the podium. You can see the effect all those multiple safety cars had on the race. Usually at this stage of the race, at the end of the race, you'll have one or two cars trailing far behind. But as you can see, everyone's very close together. The only cars we had behind were Aramondi and Fuster, who had to make pit stops after all those safety cars. So they never got an event to bring them back into the field. But there we go. That is the Australian round of Season 9, Round 8 of DRS. And there we go to your official results, so I can try and get through all of them. 19 runners in this race. Rota taking the victory, very nicely done at the end, well managed, no penalties next to his name, and that turned out to be crucial. 0 to Cool, P2, then Kev got promoted to that podium position, again results of penalties. Nick Gishen, P4, then we have Boinkies, Levy, Dan Ritfeld, Nam Assassin, J-Boy, and Big T picking up the final point, and crucially Big T had that fastest lap, so he's picking up an extra point, 2 points on the night. No points tonight outside the top 10. Quibus so close, P11, Wezo P12, Aramondi 13, Fuster 14, Flynn 15, Stoffel 16. And for a race that seemed like it had so many safety cars, just the 3 retirements, Panda, Swiss, and Arnojos. I want to thank everybody in the comment section, everybody who joined me for the stream. I apologize, I'm not feeling well, so my voice isn't quite where it should be, but hopefully next time round things should be back to where I'd like them to be. I'll be back on Sunday at 6 o'clock with SKR, but until then, thank you very much for joining me tonight, whether you're watching this live, listening to this live, or listening to this later on in the week. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Hit the bell notification so every time we go live, you'll get a notification. As far as the Sim Racing World Cup that was on this channel, I can tell you that South Africa is through to the next round. And as soon as we have information on dates and times, I will let all of our viewers know so that they can tune in for the knockout rounds of the Sim Racing World Cup. But until then, thank you very much for joining me. Again, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.